Good evening. It is 7:30 p.m. on January 9th, 2024 now. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Norwalk Common Council. If you will please rise and join me in pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
Mr. Burnett,
Present.
Mr. Goldstein,
Present.
Mr. Lopez,
Present.
Ms. Najilski Eichner, Ms. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Ayers,
Present.
Mr. Seed,
Present.
Mr. Wiggins,
Here.
Ms. Young,
Here.
Ms. McMurr,
Here.
Ms. Murray,
Here.
Ms. Dunn,
Here.
Mr. Sutton,
Present.
Mr. Frere,
Here.
Ms. Shanahan,
Here.
14, we have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 12th, 2023. Do I have a motion? Ms. Shanahan, do we have any corrections, deletions, or omissions? Seeing nobody indicating that we do.
Actually, I'm sorry, I do.
I'm sorry, Ms. Dunn.
The motion says unanimously passed the reappointments, and I was in opposition to that, so.
Okay,
Okay, so that I'm all set.
okay. So if there are no other corrections, all in favor of the minutes as corrected? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now, next item is public participation. Do we have anybody wishing to address the council this evening?
If you wish to speak, please raise your hand electronically now. We do not have any speakers.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda after public participation, we're going to have to go. Let me just take a quick look here. All right, so I guess now would be, because this goes to the council president, mayor's remarks right now. Just a reminder, we did send out a code red today to Norwalk, advising of the storm warning for this evening into tomorrow morning, possible flooding, winds gusting up to 60, 80 miles an hour, asking people to be very, very careful. If you see a puddle, don't drive through it because it's very difficult to determine how deep the puddle is. And so we want to make sure that you don't drive through the puddle, especially where the DPW or the police department has closed off the road. Remember, they say, turn around, don't drown. And hopefully everybody got the public information code read today and are heeding our warnings. And hopefully everybody stays home. There's a possibility of downed trees, power outages, etc. So it's a nice night to stay home, light a fire, and whatever else you like to do to have some peace. Next, this week, we've kicked off our second annual Christmas tree collection. For those interested in participating, the schedule is based on the day of the week a resident receives their recycling collection. We ask residents to put their trees out on Monday mornings by 6 a.m. During their assigned collection week. For example, residents who receive regular recycling collections on Monday and Tuesdays should have put their trees out on Monday to be collected this week. So if you have any questions, you can check our website. Also, check with the Department of Public Works. We'll have all the information. But this is the second year we're doing it. We know it's a real convenience. It's good for us to do that because people don't have oftentimes the wherewithal to be able to bring the trees down to the facility. Last but not least, today is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I want to thank all our Norwalk police officers, but I want to thank police officers not only in Norwalk, but throughout the state and throughout the country for all they do. They're protecting us 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We sleep peacefully because we know that they're on their rounds. And I know our Norwalk Police Department is a professional agency with dedicated men and women who are prepared to do everything they can to keep our city safe. So I want to thank our Norwalk police officers on behalf of the city of Norwalk and on behalf of the Common Council. So those are my remarks. I will turn the floor over to our council president, Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we get to reading the Common Council consent calendar, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Greg Burnett so he can just speak about the MLK event.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Just wanted to mention that on Monday, January 15th, this coming Monday, we will have our annual MLK Day that will be held at Norwalk Community College at the West Campus, beginning at 8:00 p.m. 8:00 a.m. And then following, 8:00 a.m. And then following the breakfast, there will be an event at NC sponsored by the Norwalk Board of Education, where there will be performances. There will be presented to students for their leadership and their work that support the legacy and the work of Dr. King. And then finally at 5:00 p.m., also at Norwalk Community College, there will be a program in celebration of MLK's birthday. So those are key on Monday, January 15th at Norwalk Community College in honor of Dr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. So reading the consent calendar for today, January 9th, 2024, is Mr. Jalen Seed.
Right. So we'll start with reports, departments, and board and commissions. A Corporation Council.
Mayor, I'm sorry. We did not on the agenda approve
The ethics.
of Ms. Sawyer. I'm sorry, it was low down.
I was ready.
I saw you were, so just,
You were ready to fly.
yes. And so we have her down for the Board of Ethics. Does anyone like to speak to Ms. Michelle Sawyer? And I think I can't see anybody's
Murray,
hand.
raise
I'm
your
sorry,
hand.
go ahead, Ms. Murray, go ahead, sorry.
Hi, yes, I'd like to recommend Michelle Sawyer. She is an excellent professional here in our community. She works for Norwalk Hospital. She's worked for years in mental health. She's very familiar with HIPAA and all the legal and ethical considerations that go into healthcare. So I think it's an interesting industry to be represented on our Board of Ethics. And I've seen her make decisions quickly and with integrity. So I think she's going to be a real asset to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Anybody else? Mr. Freyer?
Yes, I've briefly met Michelle. I think she is an outstanding contributor to Norwalk Hospital, with whom I am very closely associated. And I also think that she would be an excellent candidate for the Board of Ethics.
Thank you. All right. So we have to move that forward. All in favor of Michelle Sawyer? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, now we move on to the consent calendar. Sorry, Mr. Seed, you can proceed.
Problem. So we'll start with reports, departments, boards and commissions. A Corporation Council. One, authorization for discussion, settlement for Janet Tarifo versus City of Norwalk to be an executive session. Common Council committees. A Public Safety and General Government Committee. One, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements, documents, applications, and amendments as may be necessary with Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, DESPP and DEMHS, for participation in the Emergency Management Grant Program, EMGP, and Regional Homeland Security Planning and Funding Activities. Item 2, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to sign Mutual Benefits and Use Agreement, MBUA, forms to utilize the following state of Connecticut contracts as needed in the event of large-scale disaster responses that provide the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement. First one, disaster debris response management services. A, approved vendor, Ashbridge. B, State of Connecticut contract number 22PSX0119. Disaster debris monitoring services. C, approved vendor, Tetra Tech. D, State of Connecticut contract 22PSX0118. Item 3, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Fairfield County Chief of Police Association to be a member of the Fairfield County Mutual Police Assistance Compact, Fairfield County Blue Plan. Item 4, authorize the purchasing agent, Sharon Connors, to issue a purchase order to Interaction Site Corporation for the sole source under GS contract number GS-35F-0415V for the purchase and installation of the Phase 2 Eventide Nextlog 740, Phase 2 Motorola P25 AIS integration, call recorder system in the amount of $80,258.74, account number noted. Item 5, authorize the purchasing agent, Sharon Connors, to issue a purchase order to the sole source and bidder, Turismo Group LLC, for the purchase of First Cert software designed to digitally track signatures and digital recorders for the State of Connecticut Police Officer Standard Training Council, RT50 forms, at the rate of $8,310.40 for the first year. Breakdown is 205 users at $41.88, equaling $8,585.40, and the annual instruction at $225. With anticipated recurring costs in the following fiscal year at approximately $6,275.40. Item 6, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Matthew Nittany, Executive Director of the Side by Side Charter School, to have the Norwalk Police Department provide school resource officers program and services. Item 7, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to implement the non-unit personnel benefits and compensation policy, as well as the ordinance salary schedule. B, Finance and Claims Committee. 1, report of the Claims Committee dated December 2023. 2, for informational purposes only, narrative on tax collections dated December 2023. 3, for informational purposes only, monthly tax collectors reports dated November 2023. 4, authorize the purchasing agent to authorize a single source purchase order to AMCS Group, Inc. for a software platform to manage the truck scales and customer accounts at the city transfer station and Yardway site. Pricing not to exceed $72,900 with an option to extend the service for 1 extra year. Account numbers noted. C, Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs Committee. 1, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement with JS Endurance for the use of Veterans Memorial Park and immediate surrounding grounders for the Garavel Sono Half Marathon 5K and Kids Fun Run event to be held on Sunday, October 6, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. Setup time at 7:45 a.m. with a teardown by 2 p.m. Approximately 1,500 plus people. 2A, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a contract with M.E. O'Brien and Sons for the sole source purchase and installation of a new playground at Brookside. Pricing from state contract number 17PSX0081, and the amount not to exceed $187,000, $187,425.15 from the state of Connecticut Deep Parks Beautification Grant, account number noted. 2B, authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to issue a change order to M.E. O'Brien and Sons for the purchase and installation of a new playground at Brookside School, and the amount not to exceed $18,425 from the state of CT Deep Parks and Beautification Grant, account number noted. D, Public Works Committee, 1, approve to increase the fee proposed adjustments to the Public Works rates and fees set by Department of Operation and Public Works fee schedule as per attached. E, Land Use. Two, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a lease amendment with Family and Children's Agency from the use of portions of the second floor and third floor of Ben Franklin Center for his children's after-school programs and administrative offices for a period of 5 years. Lease payments shall be as follows: September 1st, 2024 to August 31st, 2025, $3 per square foot. September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2026, $3.25 per square foot. September 1st, 2026 to August 31st, 2027 for $3.50 per square foot. And September 1st, 2027 to August 31st, 2028 to $3.75 per square foot. And September 1st, 2028 to August 31st, 2029 to $4 per square foot. Remaining terms of the agreement to remain unchanged. Item 4B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue a change order on contracts and additional services as may be required for the total not to exceed $60,000, account number noted. And that is all. I think you're muted, Ms. Young.
So you've heard the consent calendar read by Councilman Seed. All in favor to accept that? All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Young. First item off the consent calendar is item E, Land Use and Building Management Committee. Ms. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I noticed Mr. Goldstein has his hand raised. Before
Mr.
we,
Goldstein.
Okay.
Somebody's moving it.
That's an error. I
oh, he
clicked
must be
it's an
frozen.
error.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
I was frozen
okay.
for a second. My apologies.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Smith? Okay,
Item 1, approve naming of the patio of Oak Hills Park tennis facilities in honor of Mr. Arthur Goldblatt, local attorney, longtime Norwalk resident, and dedicated supporter of tennis in the community with special interest in promoting tennis and education with urban kids. I would like to move that item and say a few words on behalf of this naming, if I may.
yes.
So Oak Hills has just completed recently this new patio for their tennis facility. And Mr. Goldblatt had been a very strong member of the community, longtime Norwalk resident. And we know him so well as the founder of Grassroots Tennis, which has just provided so many extraordinary opportunities for our young kids. And so I wholeheartedly support this, this naming of the patio, Arthur's Court, which is just a great name. And so I just, just want to offer my support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any further comments?
Yes. Hi, everybody, Mr. Mayor.
We let the council speak first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to echo the comments made by Councilmember Smith, but just that Mr. Goldblatt was beyond being a supporter. He was passionate about making a difference in the lives of young people and utilizing the great sport of tennis to not only bring them organizational skills, discipline, also taught them how to focus, transfer all of those skills into the classroom to become outstanding students. Several of the students from the program graduated program and went on to attend college and have become very successful. So I just wanted to echo the passion that Arthur brought towards not only the game of tennis, also nurturing and growing Norwalk's students to become great citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Further comments or Ms. Brown, are you here to speak on the item? Oh, Ms. Young?
There's not a lot left to say about, other than what my two fellow council members have said, but what Mr. Goldblatt has started has turned into a real gem for the city of Norwalk and for our young people. They have had decades of young people, as Mr. Burnett said, that have gone on to college and have been very successful. And they continue that now, and they grow the program, and they have enrichment programs, and they just have so much that they provide for these young people. And it really has become the path to college, and that they get those, college scholarships playing tennis, and having that as an opportunity for these young people has been a really phenomenal thing. And they are really raising some really great tennis players. And I think we have a couple of them in our midst right now at the elementary age. These young people have gone on to the US Open. And I don't know if you know, one of our students from Norwalk got to throw out whatever that thing is to start the tennis game. So they really, really have these young people engaged and providing wonderful opportunities for them. So kudos to Miss, I think it was Miss Brown, I think I saw her name, whoever was behind moving this forward, because this is long overdue for Mr. Goldblatt.
Further comments from any council people? Ms. Brown?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say on behalf of Oak Hills Park Authority and the Tennis Friends of Oak Hills, who have supported the building of the patio, which we had funded by donations, and it was to honor Art Goldblatt and all his accomplishments. I know he'll be very happy with him and his family to have this honor for him. He's also developed he helped us start programs at Oak Hills for the youth programming, and we're working very hard to continue that. We're getting grants from the USTA to help youth programming. We had a nice fall program, and we hope to continue it. And I just think that, our appreciation to the Common Council, to the Land Use Committee, to the Parks and Rec, and everybody who's helped support this has been tremendous, and we really appreciate that. So we will have a dedication in the spring, and I'd just like to thank you all again on behalf of Oak Hills and the Friends of Tennis for this support for Art.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I might echo all of the comments that were made here this evening. I've known Art Goldblatt for many, many years, a true gentleman, a true professional, really a stalwart citizen. And the grassroots education and training program, as Ms. Young mentioned, the last information I got, there were over 4,000 over the years, over 4,000 young people from Norwalk, inner city youth, other children from all throughout the city of Norwalk, who went through that program, and the focus was on education as well as tennis. And for over 4,000 students that went through that program, every single one of them at least graduated high school. Others went on for scholarships for tennis. Others went on to play professional tennis. It's an amazing program, and we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Art Goldblatt for his vision, for his concern for the community. Again, he did that on his own time, helping to raise funds, doing the things that needed to be done in order to make this a successful program. I couldn't be happier that we are naming that patio after him. I thank the council, and I thank Ms. Brown and everybody for bringing this forward. So having said that, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, well, it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
item on the agenda, Ms. Smith, is item 7E3.
Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a sub-grant agreement and all other related HUD grant requirements, documents, agreements as may be required with Riverbrook Regional Young Men's Christian Association, Inc., YMCA, for the development of the Norwalk Community Recreation Center at 98 South Main Street as necessary in anticipation of the receipt and expenditure of HUD grant in the amount not to exceed $1,750,000. The city will have full responsibility and compliance with HUD grant requirements. I would like to move that item and say a few words, please.
Ms. Smith, yes.
So as most of us are aware, prior to the pandemic, the city entered into an agreement with Riverbrook Regional YMCA to develop South 98 Main Street as a Norwalk YMCA. There were cost overruns due to COVID. The Y lost a great deal of their funding sources, and so the plans were dashed and the agreement fell through. The City Building Department and Recreation and Parks Department are now developing the site as the Norwalk Community Recreation Center, long overdue and very exciting for our community. The Y had received federal HUD funding in the amount of $2 million specific to this project. So to assure that the funds stay with the building, HUD is requiring the subgrant to recognize the city as an indirect beneficiary. I spilled my water. Sorry. So 1.75 million will go to the city for development and construction of the community center, and the Y is going to retain $250,000 for the fit up, and that's essentially, furniture, fixtures, equipment for the programming that they will establish in the building. So what's important about this is that money will stay with this building. I believe we have, you're muted, Mayor. I believe we have Alan Lowe.
Okay, Mr. Lowe, does anybody have
If anyone has any questions.
any questions for Mr. Lowe, or does anybody have any comments on this item? I don't see any hands. So seeing no questions, no comments, all in favor of item 7E3? Opposed? Abstentions? Is that Miss Ayers, are you abstaining?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so it's passes 13-1 with one abstention, Miss Ayers. Thank you. Next item is item 7E4A. Ms. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Silver Petroselli and Associates for architectural design services for the proposed Norwalk Community Recreation Center at 98 South Main Street for a total not to exceed $662,751. Funds for this agreement are available from ARPA funds account number noted. Again, I would like to move this and speak to it.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. This item went through the usual RFP and RFQ process. Silver Petroselli was the one of the final qualified bidders and the lowest bidder, and has a great deal of experience here in Norwalk as well as throughout the state on this type of project. So we are recommending that we move this forward and accept their bid.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Comment? I see Mr. Wiggins has his hand up. Mr. Wiggins.
Hello, everyone. On the last planning meeting, I had some concerns with the process. I just want to state this for the community, and going forward, really trying to find and bring out diversity in every projects, that we're planning. As I stated before, you know, I can see this building from my window. You know, this is very touchy for me because I grew up in this community. This community service, it has a lot of minorities, Black and brown people. If I'm not mistaken, the most populated area in Norwalk were Black and brown people. And, you know, when looking at the organization that was chosen, I understand that it was, you know, the least amount of they gave they had the lowest rates and so on and so forth. But I think as a city, we need to be more intentional about being inclusive, diversity, equity, and inclusion, you know, bringing different, you know, minorities and women-owned businesses to the forefront. Once again, I just want to make sure, you know, echo that we have to be intentional about doing this. It's an imperative. So to all my councilwomen, I'm gonna abstain, but going forward, we should really look into this.
Thank you, Mr. Wiggins. Further comment or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Ayers and I believe Mr. Wiggins abstaining, so it passes 12 in favor, nobody opposed, and 2 abstentions. Thank you. Next item is under Economic and Community Development, I believe. Mr. Goldstein.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is F1, authorize the transfer of $150,000 of GGP funding from account number noted to the redevelopment agency for the completion of the South Norwalk Community Plan. I'd like to move this item and briefly speak to it.
You have the floor.
So this is, and so this was something that obviously was passed through at our last Economic and Community Development meeting last week. This study of the South Norwalk Community Plan is an offshoot of the South Norwalk train area station area study that was completed in 2022. Redevelopment agency, along with the consultants who've helped them with this work, identified a need to further examine the area around both the new school planned public school that's coming, the South Norwalk Community School, as well as its connections throughout the neighborhood, the train station, and the community impacts of ongoing development. Basically, it's ostensibly a change order on an existing order, but it's going to provide a really important study, especially for the South Norwalk area, along with the Community Advisory Committee, dealing with issues that run the gamut from gentrification and displacement, and dealing with sort of the confluence of issues that surround both the development that's happening in South Norwalk and making sure that's successful and as equitable as possible, but also balancing these important community needs and equity concerns. And the item tonight is to help fund that effort to come up with the best practices and strategies to deal with these issues that are vital to our community and that we need, frankly, we need to get right. With us tonight is our Director of Economic and Community Development, Jess Vanashek, and the Director of the Redevelopment Agency, Brian Bedoli. If anyone has any questions. I don't know, Jess or Brian, if I missed anything that you want to touch on before there's any questions or comments, but that's sort of a basic summary of what this item is.
Thank you, Mr. Goldstein. Are there any further comments or discussion, questions? Or Mr. Bedoli or Ms. Vanashek, is there anything that Mr. Goldstein didn't touch on, do you think is important to highlight?
Mr. Mayor.
And Ms. Young.
I just want to comment and really say that this process that we're going to go through with this grant, with this study, is really a result of the redevelopment agency and the Economic and Community Development Department listening to the residents and hearing their concerns. And this really is what this is going to address. Those things that, as Mr. Goldstein said, that are still impacting the community as it's going through this transition. And so I think the goal of this is to really make sure that we get it right as much as we can. Although this development is going on and we're just now getting to this point of doing this, but I think it's going to be beneficial moving forward. But again, I think because of the meetings that we've had within the community, above and beyond what usually is required, and the fact that you all have listened to what folks have said time and time again, I think this hopefully will yield some really positive, useful information. So I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Mr. Seed.
Yeah, I just want to really thank Brian and Jessica, and also like people like Ms. Young, and people have really been fighting for South Norwalk for such a long time. As a activist, a lot of times gentrification and displacement is something that you hear activists talk about, but it's something that oftentimes you don't really hear the city address as a real issue. A lot of, to not say no, but a lot of times it's just kind of dismissed. But Norwalk is really taking the action here to address these issues with that, and I think that this study is something that's great. It's something that's going to take time, but I really from the presentation that we had, there is like an urgency and the acknowledgement that this is an ongoing issue here in Norwalk, and excited to see it addressed. So just want to thank you guys, and thanks everybody who's really been fighting for this. I know Ms. Young has been in meetings for a long time talking about this. So just really want to thank everybody involved to really tackle this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Seed. Ms. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I also would like to add my thanks to Jess and to Brian. I know I have said it many times in the committee, but you know, I think it's worth adding here that Brian, you have really, really reached out to the community. I mean, you know, we met many times when you first came on, and you know, I really encouraged you to do that, and you have just taken it up. And so, you know, all the community engagement you have done since you came on. So I really want to commend you for that. And I also just, you know, piggybacking on Mr. Seed's comments, the thing that most excites me about this study that we talked about in the committee is that there may be recommendations for policy that can begin to address these issues that have plagued minority communities. And you know, I don't know where that's being done much around the country. So I think that, you know, this is just extraordinary that we are addressing this and looking at it for the city of Norwalk and for our residents, particularly of South Norwalk. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Goldstein.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bookend this not only by completely agreeing with what my colleague said, but just two things. One, regarding the study, there isn't going to be an RFP process where we're engaging a new consultant. The good news with this study is we're actually already engaging someone who is well versed with the community and is going to be able to hit the ground running, which is what I think, as Council President Young said, is going to really make this so worthwhile, is that, you know, we're not starting at zero. And I think we all have very high expectations for what can come of this study. And I also want to pull in a plug. We had a conversation at our meeting last week about the massive amount of investments and worthy investment that's happened in South Norwalk, really over the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. Jess Vanashek did a wonderful presentation that, you know, demonstrated just the millions of dollars of really positive investment improvement in South Norwalk. And I just want to put a plug out there. If anyone is interested in learning about what the city's done to really invest in South Norwalk, that meeting is on YouTube and accessible, and worth looking at that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Goldstein. Further comments, questions? Returning to Mr. Bedoli or Ms. Vanashek, is there anything that you feel it's important to add to this subject? Okay.
Mayor, I think just on behalf of the Economic Community Development Department and obviously the city, we're really proud of the work that we've been able to do with the council people and the South Norwalk residents. And I think what we heard is correct. We really want to be able to not only hear what people have to say about the community, but put that into action on behalf of the residents of the community, and be able to use all of the funding that we have in creative ways to make that all happen. So as Councilman Goldstein had just mentioned, the presentation highlighted $179 million of investment in the South Norwalk community since 2017. But more than anything, just want to say that Brian and I are always available and accessible to anybody who wants to talk about these planning exercises, and open to feedback. And we're just really pleased to be able to roll out your administration's work.
Thank you, Ms. Vanashek. I see no other hands. Just a quick comment. A couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, day before, somebody sent me something that were articles from the Hour back in the 1950s. And I know this is dealing with the Wall Street area, but I think it transitions over to the South Norwalk area as well. And that is the amount of effort and work by the professional team we put together, by the Common Council, everybody trying to work together to make Norwalk the best it can possibly be. Back in the 1955 era, maybe 56, 57, the big issue on the mayoral election was the flood, that nothing has been done to fix the area that had been devastated by the 1955 flood. One of the mayoral candidates made that an issue and won the election. 2 years later, under his leadership, nothing had happened again. And the other mayor used that and won. But now you see something in the Wall Street area, the plans, the fencing that we just put up. But that, again, that shows that this team of people work really, really hard to do things that needed to be done, but hadn't been done for many, many years. And I couldn't be more proud of the effort that we put together. You look at Mr. Badoli, Ms. Vanashek, all the things that they've done, the people that look at Norwalk and say, we need this. And then rather than talk about it, they talk the talk, but then they walk the walk. So this is really something very, very special, and I truly appreciate it. And I'm proud to be a part of this team, proud to be a part of this council, or to be the mayor and not a part of the council, but sit in on these meetings and watch what happens. But so again, thank you to everybody that had a part in this. And with that, I will take a vote on Ms. Shanahan. Oh, I know, you thought it was time.
I think she was trying to vote.
You thought it was time. So all in favor of this item, please signify. And opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Ms. Shanahan?
Now I'll also do the additional thing. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ms. Shanahan. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, everybody. Good night and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Stay in, stay dry, stay safe.
Good night.
Hey.
Good night. God bless.